Guess who got brands talking? Brandlive.co.za.
Hello and welcome to Creative Ghettos, the show that explores various creative industries and profiles the Africans who push them forward. Each week, I spend 30 minutes unveiling excellent and exciting progress within creative industries, including but not limited to visual art, architecture, design, food, film, and publishing. My name is Gwanelo Kunene. Thank you for joining me right here on brandlive.co.za. Today on Creative Ghettos, I speak to South African fine artist Chris Soal. Through his unique visual language, Chris challenges viewers to rethink space, light, and form. His carefully considered ideas have led him to working with world-renowned artist William Kentridge, being a fixed contributor to the Bubblegum Club's online magazine, and this year he'll be involved with some exciting and noteworthy collaborations. Chris, welcome to Creative Ghettos. I'm actually so excited to have you here.
Wow, thank you so much. That's a great introduction. And you have an amazing radio voice. I just have to say that.
Thank you, Chris.
I'm a little in awe right now.
Oh, wow. Well, you too. Is this your first time? Is this the first time on this horse?
It is.
It is. Great. Okay, so let's just start with this. Your background. Where are you from, and do you remember any specific events which led to your becoming an artist?
Okay, that's good. I mean, I think growing up as a child, my parents created just a really great environment for me to be curious about the world. I read a lot. TV wasn't a factor in our lives. You know, we maybe watched movies, but we didn't watch TV. It was something my dad did. So I read a lot, and I would obviously play a lot as a kid. I'd be outdoors. I'd collect things like I have weird collections of like rocks, no, seriously, like rocks, like lime and jazz, like all these different.
That. Yeah.
And I have them pinned in like little cabinets. I don't know why I still have them.
Do you have an ant farm? You sound like you're gonna say you've got.
I once built an ant farm. I did and here's the funny thing: my dad used to use matchbox, empty matchboxes to make little mud bricks.
Okay.
And then build like this wall that was the ant farm with like glass and stuff. And he told me when I was like 3 years old that these bricks were magic. And like there was a specific way that they stuck together and so the sand didn't fall apart. Anyways, I was infatuated with this. I was taken, and I still believe it's magic. I'm still trying to find the magic. And I think that might be what lies at the heart of my art. But
now we see the link.
But I think what really led me into art was two things. Was maybe there was a woman, the ex-curator of the Constitutional Hill gallery, Jane Lane, became like a principal at the prep school linked to the high school that I went to, and she ended up buying a series of drawings that I did for my matric portfolio.
Cool.
And that sort of just was a confidence boost, and give it a shot. And I think that actually took place on my gap year when I was away. So I was dealing over email with this, but on my gap year I was traveling Europe a little bit. I was working mainly in England, and I think that just exposed me to the reality that on an international platform, art is a reality for people as a career. And for me, art represented freedom. And at the time, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, and I just thought, let me go for it. And if there's people out there that are making it work for themselves, I want to be one of those people.
And at the time, what type of art were you making?
Very pretty art. I was doing I'd take like a palette knife and beautiful loads of color and just smear it on a canvas and do a portrait of like an old man or like a guy with big eyes. Or I'd be doing very, very focused, detailed drawings of people, of laborers, or guys standing on the side of the road saying like with their builder sign or their carpenter sign. So I was very detail oriented then in terms of drawing, and I had a fascination with color and with beauty. And I think a lot has changed, but I still see some threads.
Yeah, I think perhaps a lot has changed with use of color and stuff, but from the beauty side, you're still on the mark right there. Okay, so your practice mainly involves bricoleur. Is that how you say it? Bricoleur.
Yeah, if we want to.
I mean,
sure.
super fancy, bricoleur, which
Okay.
means that you create using whatever materials are available. Why was it important
Sure.
that you chose this method of creation?
I don't know if I chose it as much as it chose me, or as a way that I was drawn towards. What I noticed was that, so the term bricoleur, just to clarify, basically if we translate it from the French, it means handyman or jack of all trades, or someone who dabbles in everything. And I sort of saw that as a concept that I could steal from the French language and say, in the same way, that's my approach to materials. I take a little bit from this and a little bit from that, and I put it together, and I juxtapose this, or I'm collaging these things together that don't mix, or I'm taking a lot of things and multiplying it. So as a way of working, it was just a term that I felt like kind of,
Explain
like,
exactly.
explain sure.
in the shortest way.
Sure. And I mean, it's nice because handyman or jack of all trades means that I'm also not limited. So I'm not now like pigeonholing myself into a specific discipline, because I feel like every day I'm in the studio, I'm honestly challenged in a new direction.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's exciting for me, and keeping those opportunities and those doors open is something that I value as part of the process.
And with fine artists,
Sure.
there's always a narrative behind the work that you create. With you, what is it that you're trying to convey or communicate?
I have particular bodies of work, right, that I've done. I've done a lot of work with bottle tops. I've done some other work with more urban materials, concrete, rebar, broken glass, barbed wire. But I think the thread that I see throughout all of them is not so much that I'm trying to communicate something, or there's not necessarily a narrative that I'm trying to get people to buy into, as much as me taking these materials and presenting them as tools to allow people to see the world differently. So I'm not trying to let people see something necessarily different in my work, but more that my work will be a key to help them look at something in the world differently. So after encountering my work, I genuinely hope no one, let's say a bottle cap artwork of mine, I hope no one looks at a bottle cap the same way.
That's actually something that I picked up. I've seen your work. I saw your work for the first time actually at the Turbine Art Fair last year.
Okay.
And I still have pictures. So if you don't believe me, I will just,
Oh, no, sure.
I will
Okay.
Facebook memory it right now.
We can do that.
And what I got from it is that, you've made bottle tops look so rich. It almost looks like, I think jewelry is also just, it's not the right example, but it's that rich. I
Sure.
mean, do you do this intentionally? Is this what, when you walk away, is this what you want to see from it?
I mean, as an artist, I have like a million aspirations when it comes to something. I'm always trying to do everything at once. But with the bottle caps in particular, I think I was focusing on something like, I was trying to search for transcendence, really. Like, is it possible for something to be more than what it is?
Okay.
And I think it is, and I think that's how we make meaning out of the world. We look at things and we find significance in them. It reminds us of someone, or it evokes a feeling in us. And for me, it was about taking something which is discarded, something that's overlooked, something that's kicked around the streets of Brahm, and rework. I actually didn't do much to it.
Yeah.
All I did was thread them together, take the singular and make it plural.
Yeah.
And suddenly it's almost unrecognizable. People have walked up to my works and been like, "Ooh, that's like a shiny mat," and then they've walked away without even realizing it's bottle tops.
Yeah.
And that fascinates me because, it just shows like the possibilities that lie in things that we overlook.
But do you think it's in the things that the possibilities lie in, or do you think it's within the people themselves?
Definitely the people. So that's why I try, at least. I mean, I'm still figuring it out, to be honest, but I try and leave my work in an ambiguous space where it can read to someone as maybe a spiral signaling like the Milky Way, or to another person who could read as like a woven mat, or to another person it can read as jewelry, as you looked at it.
Yeah.
And to another person it will just signify the gold and its presence in Johannesburg and its history. So I try and position a work in a way that firstly I can relate to it, so I have a thread that I'll speak about as an artist, but I'm also very careful to try and allow it to be open to as many interpretations as possible. And for me, one of the most exciting things is when someone comes up and points out something that I actually might have sidelined in my head, like I didn't think that was important,
Yeah.
or overlooked it, or I didn't even think of it.
Yeah.
And they tell me an insight that they had about something that I made, and I'm actually blown away by that.
But then that means you also have to keep remaining open.
Sure.
That's why I feel like personally I could never become an artist, because I just, no, this is supposed to be a bottle and it is supposed to carry water. I don't, that's how I feel. You have to
Sure.
constantly remain open as an artist and to other people's interpretations.
Sure.
So you've worked with legendary South African artist William Kentridge. What was the experience like, and how did that change your own creation process?
Okay. So I worked with him in the capacity of the organization that he founded, the Center for the Less Good Idea, which is like an NGO. It's basically an incubator space for interdisciplinary practice. So we've got artists and architects and designers and musicians, performers, all coming together.
Excellent. I love
And
that.
it's just like a melting pot of all these different things, and the most incredible end products arise out of almost nothing. So for me, it's just been amazing being in that space. William's role in that is rather limited. I know he's focused more on his own practice, but when I have engaged with him, I mean, I've just been, I mean, in person, I love his energy. Like he's a quiet guy, like in person, but when it's in an art setting, he comes alive. So I love seeing that passion. And I also love the way that he can walk into a situation and turn it on its head by saying, what if we do this? And what if we do that? And he's created a space for, I think he calls it like a space for stupidity. Yeah. And that's why it's called the Center for the Less Good Idea, because as soon as he's basically trying to create a space where as an artist, you are free to express yourself.
Yeah.
Without censoring yourself and being like, ooh, I don't know if this will make a good artwork, or ooh, I don't know if this will like turn into a good performance. Because if we ask those questions too early, nothing is going to make it past that barrier that we put up. And so that's one of the things I've taken from him. And another thing is just his generosity. He looks after everyone who collaborates with him. I mean, weird things like just drinks after a session, or food popping up in the space randomly. And we know it didn't come from nowhere. So I definitely learned like generosity, which in an arts industry is often overlooked, because there's this idea of like everyone's hustling and they're on their bare bones and they're trying to make it.
Yeah.
Whereas here was an example set of a guy going over and beyond. Like when they asked me to invoice them the first time, I actually emailed back saying, is there an error?
So, okay, so I thought you were actually being mentored. Were you
No.
working,
Yeah.
really working, getting paid for this? Oh my word. Now you've just blown my mind. I need to go. What is it? The Center of Stupidity? What is it?
Center for the Less Good Idea. I mean, right there, that's it. So I started off as an intern.
Yeah.
I looked at what was happening. I'm like, this is too dope. I have to be a part of this.
Yeah.
And then on the other hand, it was just a minor thing that my course at the time at Wits was requiring me to do some sort of professional practice. But I was involved in a number of other things, so I put them all down. But this was out of my own interest. And I reached out and just offered any sort of help.
Yeah.
And they got back to me a month or two later and then said, you know, I could come on as an intern. Then suddenly they asked, can you film? And then that got handed a camera. And so now I'm one of the cinematographers there. And so I just help out. I carry all the heavy things as well, you know. But it's just, for me, it was more about placing myself in a situation where I felt like I would like to be doing this one day as an artist. I don't know if I'm there yet, but I want to be in that situation so I can take from it what I can.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's been incredible. So I came on as an intern, and then they started paying me.
How long were you there for?
So it's an on and off thing because there's seasons.
Okay.
So sure. I mean, I've been there for now the second season and half of the third season. So maybe a couple of weeks here and there. Like I'll maybe 1 or 2 days every 2 or 3 weeks, I'll get a call and asked to come in or help out, or and then yeah. So it just depends on what's needed from me, from them. But yeah, I was just blown away that an arts organization set a tone where interns were paid well and were looked after. And that means that I know everyone else is as well. And for me, because I'd been going from internship to internship at other galleries or other spaces, and I mean, they were nice people, and they were like, oh, but you're doing this for experience. And I didn't ask for pay. I've never asked for pay. But the fact that they would just shows how much they value people. And so that set a standard for me. So I need to actually value my own like presence in spaces. And when it comes to other people that I collaborate with, value them as well, because it creates a good culture.
Yeah, that's so true. Tell me, when did you sell your first piece of work?
I think the first, apart from selling to my dad.
Well, that counts.
No, we'll put family. We'll leave the immediate wall. Family out of it. You know when your dad's like, when you're broken, you're like, Dad, you want to buy something from me?
I have this thing. There's this thing that I do on the side. I don't know. Yeah.
So no. Okay. So excluding close family, I think it was probably in matric. It was the body of work that I did. I think I did a series of 6 drawings and then one really big life-size drawing. My high school and one of the, and then like I mentioned, that curator, they actually bought it independently of each other, but at the same time. Okay. And that, I think the timing of that, right as I finished high school, right as I was entering a phase of like what's next, really just gave me a bit of confidence to head in a direction which a lot of people, would dismiss as like a ridiculous career move. Yeah. Still, in our world, it's crazy that artists are not considered professional.
Creative industries are not considered real professions. It's the most bizarre thing. Anyways, Chris, we're going to take a real short break right now. We'll have more chit chat with South African artist Chris Soal after this.
brandlive.co.za.
In your face, all over the place. We're online 24/7. 24/7. You're listening to the hottest internet station.
Brand Live.
No doubt.
Have you ever thought about the power of social media? Social media has the power to make your business grow. Yeah. Why don't you let us manage your social media? Because our business is to see your business grow. Visit us at www.bstownmedia.co.za.
You're listening to brandlive.co.za.
Welcome back to Creative Ghettos. Chris Soal, South African fine artist, is still kicking it with me. And so far, we've been talking about the come up.
Yeah.
Chris, so what's it like being an artist, especially a young artist in Africa in 2018?
So we're still in the come up, right?
Yeah.
This is still the come up.
Yeah,
One day we're going to look back and have chuckles. I don't know. I don't know. That's the answer to your question. Right now, it means that I'm like navigating the waters. I have a number of opportunities on the horizon, and I've decided to take this year as a step into the unknown and push the art things. That's basically it. I'm spending time in the studio when I'm not working on other art related activities, and I'm trying to push my creative practice to a place where I can say I'm an artist with a little bit more confidence.
What is it about having to claim that you're an artist? Just proclaim that I'm an artist.
Right, yeah.
People have this difficulty. I was speaking to some guy who's a photographer and he is an artist, and he was just like, no, I just need to finish this year and I know I'm going to be introducing myself as ABC the artist.
Okay.
What is it? Why is it so hard?
I don't know. I mean, I think it's more a personal thing than anything else. But actually, I think in terms of our society, if you think about like high school. When I was in high school, being an artist, so it was only when I left and when I had a bit of international exposure, that I considered being an artist. But when I was in high school, I think the opportunities that were definitely like preferred or suggested to us were safe jobs. Lawyer, doctor, actuary, accountant, those kind of things, engineer,
Yeah.
And I mean, it's very easy at at parties or at social events to tell someone I'm X, I'm an engineer, because immediately they have a frame of reference for that, right? I think when it comes to art, because art is such a wide field on its own, that creates other issues. But I think that when you say I'm an artist, people are like, ooh, okay, what kind? And then already you have to start like explaining and defining and opening up. So when I tell people I'm an artist and they're like, ooh, what kind? I just say, I just play. I just play with things, and like I fiddle with things. I'll pick up bottle tops, or I'll, play with toothpicks, or, things that, and then they're kind of like, oh, that's exciting.
Yeah.
And then they ask for a photo, and I show them a photo, and then they seem half impressed, and then I never speak to them again. They're like, we've had enough now.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's just a thing that each person has to overcome in their own walk as a creative.
The past few years has seen an intense spotlight being shone on African art. Do you think there's a certain fleeting fetishism linked to this attention, or is the rest of the world truly recognizing African art as important?
Fetishism is a great word right now. I do think, however, that even if we take the politics of like location out of it, right? The reality of contemporary art is that it is commoditized. It is linked to capital in a way that like is almost inextricable right now. The great artists, the artists who are written about, the artists who are spoken about, who have museum shows, are all artists who sell work in the millions, right? They're the successful, I need to rephrase that, financially successful artists.
Okay.
And so I think politics in terms of like race or like geographical location or narrative aside, and those are important. I'm not dismissing them.
Yeah.
But I'm saying just purely on a financial, economic level, I don't know if any bubble like or fascinated interest in art is a genuine interest right now, because art is classed as like an asset class. Everyone's trying to find the next up and coming investment opportunity.
So true.
So from that perspective, yeah, I don't know. And the reality is that markets are drying up. If we're talking financially now. The old masters in terms of like Rembrandt and all those guys, they're all in museums. No one has them in private collections, so they're not for sale. And when there is one for sale, we saw the Leonardo da Vinci thing going for like $350 million. I mean, wow.
Yeah.
And it was probably like the size of like an A4 page. I don't even know. So you have that market gone. Then you have like the contemporary artists, like, I don't know, like I'm just rattling off names like Jeff Koons or Ai Weiwei or Damien Hirst, and their work is all being sold already and collected by the biggest, buyers in Europe and the West and Asia and Saudi Arabia, whatever. And so everyone's kind of like, well, the market's drying up. What's that new, know? And Africa is that new right now. Is it exploitative? Sure, but I'm guaranteeing that there's artists who are making it work for themselves.
Yeah, but also I think, perhaps I should ask you, do you think that also just aids the conversations that we are having in Africa get out there in the world, apart from it being almost prostituted by some people?
Sure.
Do you think it does help our conversations to spread throughout the world?
I guess so. So. I mean, there's going to be a list of pros and cons.
Yeah.
But on the list of pros, that's one of them. The fact that when there's art fairs, now there's particularly African curators, writers, artists who are being put on the stage and who are having talks, and that those knowledges, I want to call them, those different different narratives are being shared.
Yeah.
The context is debatable often, but I mean, I don't know. It's tricky. Would you rather not speak, or would you rather speak? With I don't know, like in a difficult situation.
Yeah.
So I don't know. There's pros and cons, but I look at it as something that, as an artist and as creatives in general, in our society, we're going to find ways around it. We're going to find ways to critique it, and we're going to find ways to engage with it and profit off of it. And that's just how we are. And that's like a proud thing. We need to own that.
That is very important. I think
we need to own that ability to like chameleon in and out of situations and like, slip and slide here, because that's where we thrive. So I don't know. That's how I look at it.
Okay, so lastly, because we seem to be running out of time. You have a busy few months ahead. In fact, just next month, you're headed to Knysna for an exciting 6-week residency at Ndabeni Farm to work alongside Minette Very. Tell us more about that and other exhibitions or events you'll be participating in.
Sure. So, I mean, that was an awesome opportunity that was awarded to me by South African Foundation for Contemporary Arts. It was headed up by Pierre Lombards and Ruzi Rusike. And I actually met them the same night I met you at the Casserole Wells Award.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Excellent.
Yes, I know, right? Good things came on one night.
Networking on another level. Okay,
That's funny. And their mission is to pair up emerging artists with more established artists, which I love. So Minette Vari's been in the game for like a couple of years now. She's on top of it. She's had retrospectives already. And we're heading down to Knysna to pursue our own independent projects. We're going to be in the same space, and if we collaborate, that's cool. If we overlap, that's cool. But my aim is just to be there, to push my agenda, and actually to learn what I can. And my hope was to do residencies this year, and it just came at the right time, and I'm very thankful for it and going to see what comes of it.
Yeah, 6 weeks is a nice, intense period.
Sure, and it's not too long either. I feel like for my first residency, it's nice. I'll have like a week or two here and there to settle in, and then a week or two to wrap up and just go for it, you know.
And what other exhibitions can people look forward to?
Sure. So I've got 2 at a gallery called No End Contemporary Art Space in Linden, Joburg. The one is a group show happening next week Thursday, actually, and that's called 2K. And I love No End because they've constantly like fought this market expectation or this gallery expectation to like put your work in the top end, and so 2K means 2,000, and every work on show will be selling for 2,000 rand.
Oh,
so it's young collector things out here.
Finally, young collector things.
You know, like go there.
Man's not hot.
I'm sorry, I've been too influenced. Disclosure. But yeah, so that's going to be happening, and I recommend if people are interested in just starting a collection or engaging with art, that's the place to go. And then I have a solo installation or exhibition. We're not unsure of the form yet, but that kicks off 24th of May. That date is confirmed. It'll be popping. So if people are around, it'll be great to see you all there. Yeah.
Cool. Chris, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
And interrupting your busy schedule, actually, just to be here. Okay, so just one more time. If you're in Johannesburg, next week on the 8th of March, that's Thursday, you can head out to No End Contemporary Art Space in Linden to get real-life view of Chris's creative genius. Also look out for his solo show this May at No End Contemporary Art Space. To find out more about the Africans who drive various creative industries forward, make sure to follow Creative Ghettos on Instagram at Creative Ghettos. My name is Gwanele Kunene. Join me again next Friday from 2 to 2:30 p.m. for another impactful show. Bye for now.
brandlive.co.za
You have an amazing accent. And yeah, definitely tomorrow, because tomorrow I've got work, so that's why I need to.